So again, my name is Megan Terry. I'm the Community Gardens Manager with Urban Harvest. Super excited for you to be joining our every second Wednesday virtual networking session with our community gardens, and for Naomi Tice to be joining us, our volunteer and development coordinator. So we have Nicole on the line. She will be managing our waiting room and letting folks in. So thank you, Nicole. We are focusing today, our session is on the benefits of Urban Harvest Affiliate Garden Network. So I will jump right in, and Naomi, you can go to the next slide. Great. So just quick background for those of you who might be new joining us or perhaps are just learning about Urban Harvest. Some of you, this might be old information, and that's fine. But we have kind of four main program areas in our nonprofit work that we do in Houston. We have our farmers markets. The photo there is of our Buffalo Speedway Market, which is one of the largest markets, if not largest, in the area. We have 90 vendors right now that come to our Saturday market. Whoops. And we also have markets throughout Houston that are double up SNAP sites. So there are farm stands and farm markets that accept SNAP benefits, as well as participate in our double up program, which allows folks to double their dollars for what they're spending in SNAP. We also have youth education. Our director, Carol Burton, leads that for working in schools and managing a team of garden educators who work with students on the early childhood, elementary, middle school mainly levels. Then, of course, community gardens, where I am part of. And then we also have adult education, so we have classes. And all of our classes since the pandemic have shifted virtually and online. So we'll be talking a little bit about that in just a moment. So for those of you who are joining the call and who just joined, please do put in the chat where you're joining from. We'd love to know what part of Houston you're in, what part of Houston you have a community garden that you're part of or that you're looking to join or to be creating. We'd love to know that. And any questions and things that you're bringing with you for this evening that you'd like to know about Urban Harvest Community Garden. So may not be a surprise to many of you that, of course, locally grown food has peak ripeness, nutrient density, all of those wonderful things. The benefits of having communal spaces that allow for folks of all walks of life, all ages to connect and grow together is really powerful. And we see that change happen within the land, within neighborhood landscapes, and people for being able to grow their own food, learn what grows in season here in Houston. We can grow year round, which is amazing, and really increase the access to local fresh foods. So our mission at Urban Harvest is to increase the accessibility of fresh foods and in our communities and cultivate thriving communities through that process for education and gardening. So our affiliate community gardens, they include community gardens that are donation gardens, they're neighborhood gardens, allotment gardens and market gardens, and then schools. So half of our network are schools, which is really powerful, but obviously has been shifting since COVID hit. And so we're really proud of the resiliency that a lot of our schools have shown of shifting to online curriculum, utilizing programs that are able to have kids grow at home, like the Grow Kit program that we launched this summer and into the fall. And we have over 140 gardens that span 100 miles in Houston, so quite diverse and quite a large spread of gardens there. And just of note, about 80 of our affiliate gardens are in low-income, low-access neighborhoods that they have, food, what we call food deserts, or some might call food swamps. There's an overabundance of fast food and gasoline, gas station stop stores, or socially vulnerable. And that's categorized by both the USDA Food Access Research and the CDC, which has a social vulnerability index. So just useful kind of to put into context how important a lot of the community gardens and the role that they play in those communities for food access. What we're here to talk about this evening, the benefits of becoming an affiliate garden and what that means. The first is that we launched in 2017 what we call our hub distributions. And so we saw really clearly from surveying our garden network that access to resources was one of the top needs. Volunteers was one, and access to resources. And so that's why we launched this hub distribution plan 3 times a year right now in 6 different locations in Houston. We give out free plants, seeds, and materials, educational, fertilizer, you name it, garden gloves, garden tools, and that allows community gardens to continue to grow, to plant. All of our transplants are 100% sourced from local farmers and growers. And we also have a seed bank that's all donated seeds from different nurseries and plant stores around the area that donate to us, or we purchase in bulk from a local store if needed, but most of our seeds are donated. And so our most recent hub distribution had about 80 gardens that signed up, and they were able to access brassicas, so cool weather plants and cool weather seeds this year. So another benefit of the affiliate network is discounts on gardening supplies from local retailers. For example, Nature's Way and Quality Feed and Garden, which is in the Heights. Nature's Way does a lot of great compost, mulch, soil, that kind of thing. You get 10% off. I wasn't able to recently contact RCW Nurseries, but they offer some kind of discount as well for our Urban Harvest Network, as well as San Jacinto, which makes Microlife. And that's the fertilizer that we rely on almost exclusively, not necessarily, but almost exclusively for slow release organic fertilizer. One of the other benefits are complimentary spots in our Urban Harvest classes. And so our classes, of course, shifted online due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Typically, our classes were held in person. Some of them were in backyards of one of our founders, Bob Randall, for his permaculture series, or others in different sites within Houston, at our teaching garden, if that was possible. And that would be about 2 to 4 spots per garden that could attend those classes in person. Right now we have unlimited spots for our members in our virtual classes. So all of our online classes that are offered online, the website is there, you get free attendance. Most of our classes, when they have a charge, are only about $20, but that fee is waived if you are part of our network. And then some other online resources. So we have a quarterly planting guide. It's updated every single year based on climate change data, and is put together through one of our founders, Bob Randall, in conjunction with our staff. We also send out a monthly newsletter that has events, upcoming information, relevant information, and exciting things that's going on in our network, as well as grant opportunities whenever they arise. The monthly virtual networking started because of COVID, and that is where you are right now every second Wednesday of our virtual networking series on Zoom. We also have a Community Gardens Facebook group that has over 500 members, as you can see the photo there, that allows us to share, discuss, post photos, videos, and is an interactive platform. And then ongoing gardening advice. You can always reach out to me, and if I don't know the answer, I get answers to folks by reaching out to our extensive network of garden experts. Last but not least, a way to expand your garden's volunteer base. As I mentioned, one of the top needs of our gardens consistently are volunteers, and the only way to have a sustainable community garden truly is to build a volunteer base. And so I'm going to hand it over to Naomi to talk about how we are helping gardens do this a little bit more efficiently.
Awesome, thank you, Megan. So one thing that Urban Harvest has done, we've always listed our volunteer opportunities on our website through some of those maps that Megan was showing us earlier on the PowerPoint. And before we had listed it, and the opportunity was for individual volunteers to reach out to our community gardens based on their location, and then to follow up with them one-on-one. What we have done since COVID has started is we've actually launched a new online volunteer platform. And our goal is to have all of our active affiliate gardens on our volunteer platform. I see in the chat that a lot of y'all are interested in starting a community garden, and we have a few of our affiliate gardens here with us. So this hopefully will provide y'all a little bit more information wherever you are in the process, whether or not you're interested in starting one, you're interested in getting involved, or you already have an active affiliate garden with Urban Harvest. So VAMO is going to be our online volunteer platform. So you'll see that name quite a bit. And some of the benefits of it, and one of the reasons that we decided to go ahead and get an online volunteer platform, is because it really makes it easy for volunteers to sign up online. They're able to find locations that are near them, gardens that are in their neighborhoods, and then see what the specific needs for those gardens are, and then sign up from there. We also, if you are an affiliate garden on VOMO, you get priority for when we have a volunteer group that reaches out to Urban Harvest and tells us, hey, we would love to bring out 10, 15, 20 volunteers to come do a major project at a garden. Which garden should we go to? And our VOMO gardens are going to be the ones that we first refer. The next thing is that we have multiple listings of our gardens that are on VOMO throughout our website. We do have a volunteer web page that I would recommend y'all checking out when y'all go to urbanharvest.org. And then we also have a web page specifically for VOMO. And then the last thing is that we're actively working on creating a workshop to focus on volunteer recruiting and retention, as this is something, like Megan mentioned, that all of our gardens have said they really need help with getting more volunteers involved. So something that's really important is that the VOMO, our online platform, is really focused and prioritizes using the garden coordinator as the main point of reference for their garden project. So these are going to be the steps that we're going to go through now. So the first thing you're going to do is create a personal VOMO profile. Then you're going to create a VOMO profile page, identify VOMO tasks, recruit volunteers, track volunteer attendance, and follow up with Urban Harvest Volunteer Coordinator, which is me. So we're going to go through each of these individual steps. And then at the end of this section, I'll take all of the questions that y'all guys have on how exactly to do this. So something that's really nice is that creating a personal VOMO profile is very straightforward, very easy. If you are in this workshop, you're obviously interested in gardening in Houston and getting involved with gardens. So I would recommend that no matter where you are, if you haven't created an account yet, you go ahead and sign up so you can start becoming more involved with gardens around you. There's a couple of things that I wanted to point out here. So this registration page asks quite a few questions. And one of them is going to be the birth and month year. So we've gotten some feedback about that. So I just wanted to clarify that that is asking because you can actually set a minimum volunteer age for your project page. And then when a volunteer registers, they're able to make sure that that volunteer is an appropriate age for your project. So that's why it's specifically asking for that information. So once you have gone ahead and created your personal VOMO profile, then you're going to send me an email letting me know so that I know to be on the lookout for it so that I can make you a project organizer if you are directly affiliated with a community garden. And that allows you to go behind the scenes and actually create a VOMO profile page. So what you see here, the image on your right is going to be an example of a profile page. So you can follow the link later on once you have this presentation, which we'll send to you afterwards. And it gives you an example of kind of what that project page is going to look like. And so we have a form that we send you once you've expressed interest that asks you for things like the garden description. And that's really important because you can see that this is a very visual website. And so it just kind of gives you an opportunity to talk a little bit about why is your garden important? What does it do for the community? What is its history? And then it also gives you opportunity under need to know section to talk a little bit about what are some of the hazards that volunteers might experience. Are there fire ants? Is there any information they need to know about parking? So all of that is actually, you're able to house it in your project page. So you fill all of that out through our volunteer form, and then you go ahead and send it to me along with a quality photo. So you can see that this is an adorable picture that we have, and it just really helps volunteers know that they want to get involved with your garden. So we recommend sending something that's really unique to your garden or really compelling, shows kind of your mission or who the people are going to be volunteering with. All the rest of it can be captured in that image, and it'll be shared on your project page. The next thing that you're going to do is identify VOMO tasks. So this is really great for a garden. We recommend that when you have volunteers in the garden, they are not unsupervised. There are some gardens that are open to the public, such as Gregory Lincoln, but usually a garden, you should only have volunteers there when you have a garden coordinator or a longtime volunteer there to direct. And then you can list things on your VOMO project page that are reoccurring, simple, and have a brief description of the tasks. So you'll see here that we have, this is once again Gregory Lincoln, they have an issue like mini gardens do with torpedo grass, and they need regular maintenance, regular volunteers to help eliminate that. And so that's the kind of volunteer tasks that they have listed on their project page. Something that repeats each week or each month, maybe it's every Saturday. That kind of information is up to you, the garden coordinator, to share with us. But we just ask that it's something that's reoccurring, so a volunteer who's interested in getting involved with you long term can go ahead and sign up for maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, and they can put it on their calendars. They know that it's happening, they can schedule with it, and then you as the garden coordinator also are aware that these volunteers are going to be coming out, and it really allows you to be able to count on that, that workforce that is so crucial to keeping your garden running smoothly. So the next thing is recruiting volunteers. So this is another really great way that VOMO works. So you have the kind of passive recruitment of having it listed on the Urban Harvest website, and your garden is up there and volunteers are kind of scrolling through, they see your compelling image, they read about your garden, and maybe they click on it, they start signing up, they get really invested. We've already had that happen several times just since launching in July. But something else that's really nice is when you create that project page, it actually creates a specific URL for your garden that stays the same. So if you have a garden workday 3 times a year, you can use that same URL every single time to share it with your neighborhood civic clubs or your community centers and nonprofits who are interested in that kind of work. If y'all use Nextdoor in your neighborhood, you can share it there. That URL won't change. So it allows volunteers to consistently know exactly where to sign up. You can create a QR code that goes directly to your project page. And all of these things just really allow volunteers to learn and get more deeply invested in your garden. So the next thing is to track volunteer attendance. This is something that's really helpful with VOMO. If maybe you have had a volunteer stop by and you're not exactly sure what their name was or how they got involved with you, once you start using VOMO, you're actually able to kind of see who that volunteer was. They're going to have already pre-registered or potentially registered the day of. And so it just really allows you to know how many people are coming out to your garden, what kind of regularity they're coming in, and that kind of information. Something that's also nice is that VOMO actually allows when a volunteer registers, it has the volunteer liability form right there. They go ahead and sign up then. And so you know that the volunteer has seen what the potential liability issues are. They've signed the media release as well, and they're good to volunteer. Something that I will say is that the hosted form on VOMO covers Urban Harvest. If your specific garden also has garden insurance, or if y'all have a board of directors, then we can work with your garden to create a volunteer liability form that covers both your garden specifically and Urban Harvest. So I mentioned before when we were talking about reoccurring tasks. So one thing that's really nice is that a volunteer can go ahead and sign up ahead of time. So if you have a volunteer who comes out every single Saturday, they've been doing it for years, and you really want to start tracking those hours, they can just go on one time, they can sign up for the next 4 months, and then they never have to think about it again. So we're not asking people to sign up every single time before they come out. And that just kind of makes it all a little bit easier. Something that you can also do is you can have a garden sign-in sheet there. So if when the volunteers arrive, you can go ahead and check that they're there. You know that they signed up on VOMO, but that way you're able to verify that they actually did come to the garden. Or another option that you can do is actually using a kiosk, which is nice. So what you see in this image here is that those volunteers have pre-registered. Their names will show up, like you can see these names here. And they just go ahead and click their names. It checks them in. They can also check out when they leave, and it makes the whole process really easy. Each garden coordinator has access to this so that they can pull it up on their phone, or if they have an iPad that they bring to the garden, anything else like that, and that makes it really easy. Now, if you have a person who shows up at the garden who hasn't registered, you also have the option to add new person and get them registered on VOMO right then and there. And all of that just really helps you track your volunteer attendance. So if a volunteer comes one time and you don't see him again, you can always reach out and say, you know, we appreciate you coming out. We'd love to see you again. What's going on? How are y'all doing? And just allows you to kind of have those conversations with your volunteers ongoing. Next, what we do is we ask that you just follow up with us. This is once again going over the garden coordinator role. So what we want to know is we want to know how it's going at your garden. We're super excited to have this resource for you guys, but we want you to go ahead and send us your updated tasks quarterly is what we usually ask. Once again, those are reoccurring, usually seasonally specific tasks that you'll see listed on your project page. So something else about that is that you usually want to have the same days listed, but those days may change. So we had a lot of people when we came to these shorter days, they stopped having their work days go from 5 to 7. Now it's only 5 to 6 because there's no more time, there's no more daylight. So those kinds of changes we ask that you send to us quarterly. And then you share your volunteer attendance monthly. So if you're doing that with a sign-in sheet, then you just go ahead and send us an email once a month. These are the people that came in. These are how many hours, if you remember it, but mainly that you just verify that the volunteers who signed up did actually attend. And then, of course, if we have anything that's listed on the project page that for any reason you were unable to be there to supervise volunteers, so say you have generally said, Wednesdays from 4 to 5 are great, we can have it every single week, and then something comes up on that Wednesday, we just ask that you go ahead and cancel it about a week before so that we can take it off of the VAMO platform so volunteers won't sign up for that specific volunteer date. So that's all about VAMO right now, and I'll take any questions that y'all guys have there at the end of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Sorry to unmute myself. So we did have one question so far about the kind of requirements for community gardens and folks who join our affiliate network. We don't necessarily have any requirements, so there's no formal contract or fee associated with becoming an affiliate garden, which is kind of amazing because you get to access all of these benefits. Aside from the cost of the affiliate garden sign, it can be about $55, and then if you want a metal frame, it's about $26 in addition. And then if you need to replace that sign, like some of our community gardens that have been around for a decade or maybe more, have realized that the sign fades over time because of weather, and so they've had to replace it. But otherwise, that's the only cost associated with joining. But we do have expectations, and we are looking in 2021 to make that a little bit clearer and to really have better communication with our network since it's over 140 gardens. It's quite a lot of people involved, as you can imagine. The idea, especially for those of you who are joining and are interested in starting a community garden, we typically have gardens that will expand over time, and some folks who are on the call, like Betsy just joined us from Westbury Community Garden. That's been a long time affiliate garden and been around for a while. But the expectation is that you have an existing space, your garden exists, you have an active volunteer base, even if it is just 4 or 5 people, and then the support of the community. So that is kind of our hope for any new affiliate gardens that join, that they have those kind of things in place to set yourself up for success and sustainability. The other expectation is that the garden coordinators fill out an annual survey that we send out, typically in the fall, to keep our Urban Harvest Network up to date, to understand how your garden's doing, if it's grown, if it's shrunk, if there's anything that's changed majorly about the garden, and to just learn what your needs are and to make sure we're up to date with the resources that we can provide for our network. The third is to maintain gardens that are productive and follow guidelines for a respective community or public spaces. Some of our gardens are in parks, some of them are in schools, of course. So our expectation is just that you are following the rules that you need to follow and make sure that, again, the community is supportive of where the garden is located. The fourth, which would be new, and this is what the volunteer database that Naomi just talked about, thank you so much, Naomi, is that you add your garden to our online volunteer platform called VAMO. If you wish to recruit volunteers and you want to be part of that, and to, like Naomi mentioned, also to kind of demonstrate what is the work that you're doing in the community. A lot of our donation gardens are giving out thousands and thousands of pounds of produce into their local community. And so we want to know about that and highlight that as well. We also have occasional requests for videos or photos or even testimonials from garden coordinators and garden members. And so our hope is that gardens are amenable to that. They're willing to share and want to share their successes and their achievements with us and with the network as a whole. And last is just, to let the community gardens manager, right now that's me, know when the garden's no longer active. Due to COVID, a lot of our gardens either closed and just were not active, or sometimes things shift, land ownership, supervisors, whatever it is. And so we want to know if the garden's no longer active or no longer exists. And we also want to be able to update the garden information for the contact person so that that contact person listed on our map or on VAMO is updated when that changes. And then we want to know if there's additional resources or assistance that we can provide or at least link you to. So yeah, and again, like I said, there's no formal contract at this point or fees, and there's no monthly fees or annual fees in that regard, just that one-time purchase of the sign and then replacement sign if needed in the future. So cool. Naomi, there's nothing else after that, right? We can take questions. There we go. So questions, I know that there was a couple in there. Hopefully I answered your question regarding the requirements. And then I see Dorothy asked, what does mean the support of the community? I'm happy to make that a discussion. That is just something that really I've seen that there's folks that want to start a community garden in maybe a public space. So you would just, before you dig up a bed, you'd have to make sure you have the right permissions, for example, or that there's enough community members around that are interested. If you want to start an allotment garden, but maybe no one in the near vicinity is interested in having a plot in that garden, it may not be sustainable. So just, it's more of a general term of knowing that there is participation and support for the garden, and perhaps someone else on the line might elaborate or chime in of agreeing or disagreeing on that question. But that really, we're looking for gardens who are new, who are joining, and for continued affiliate gardens to truly have some kind of backing. So it's not just you by yourself. That is exhausting, to really have a team of people that are interested in continuing and invested in seeing the sustainability of the garden and for the garden to continue. So